This little girl came home after school and happily told her mother that she got 10 points in her English exam. The mother smiled happily. Today was her daughter's birthday, but when the little girl lit the candle and looked towards her mother, suddenly bewildered, the mother asked her child what was wrong. The little girl choked up and replied, "This is not my mother, it's just my mother's soul." It turns out that since she was a child, she has had the ability to see the souls of the dead. The mother unfortunately was in an accident and passed away not long ago. The little girl kept asking her mother, was she really dead? The mother sheds tears incessantly. Although she wanted to witness her daughter's growth, this time, she really had to leave because didn't want mother to worry. The little girl tried to suppress her emotions, but her tears still flowed uncontrollably. The mother warned her daughter that the evening would get cold. Remember to wear a scarf. From now on, don't stare into the soul's eyes anymore. But the girl replied that, fortunately I have this ability, so now I can see my mother. Time is running out. The mother wanted to say her last goodbye to her daughter. The girl tried to be strong and told her mother to go to a good place. The mother nodded with tears in her eyes, but at that moment, the mother disappeared. The little girl couldn't hold back any longer. She cried extremely painfully. The room was empty, except for the photo taken with her mother. She very quickly received a phone call from the hospital. After she had calmed down, she walked out the door and saw the messenger of hell coming. He came to demand her life. It turned out that her mother had been in an accident 8 years ago. At that time, she and her mother should have died. The goblin Kim Shin heard the woman's prayer. He did not want to get involved in worldly matters, but he discovered that the woman had a baby in her womb. While softening heart, he saved the mother and child. When the messengers of hell arrived, they had already disappeared. When the girl was confused and scared, a voice came to her ears. An old woman appeared and pulled the girl behind her. She questioned that in the list did not include the girl's name, and the messenger of hell also seemed to be a little reserved about her. Right after the messenger left, the old woman told the girl that she had to quickly clean the house so the messenger would not found you again. Not long after the old woman was walking on the footbridge, the moment she passed by this guy, she turned into a beautiful woman dressed in red, and the guy also became a young man. It turns out 10 years have passed. The girl from the past is now in high school. That day after school, a female ghost nearby kept trying to get Eun-tak's attention, but she didn't care about this woman. So this woman screamed loudly and turned into a scary face. This ghost had just confirmed that Eun-tak could see her. Then her face turned pale, looked forward and ran away. Eun-tak was not understanding anything when a man passed by her. Eun-tak did not know that this man was the legendary Goblin, and the Goblin didn't know that the girl who passed him was the Goblin bride he had been searching for more than 900 years. He was stabbed through the heart by a sword, but possessed an immortal body. This was not luck, but a punishment. That day, he won again. People everywhere cheered him, but when he reached the city gate, the general guarding him called him a traitor. Then a team of archers aimed arrows at him, and the brothers fell down one by one behind him. They fought for the king for 3 days and 3 nights, went through the gates of death and death, but were treated like that. The city gate finally opened. He held the sword and walked towards the king, but the king told him stops and must die as a traitor. Otherwise I will kill your entire family. It turns out that he is respected more than the king by the people, plus the slander of the petty people. So the king is jealous. The Uyghur sister knew it was difficult to escape this fate, so she firmly told him that if this was destiny, then don't stop. He held the sword and continued walking. His sister fell under the arrow and he never looked back. He was cut down and collapsed on the ground. At this moment, the deputy general came running. He gave the final order to the deputy general, which was to kill him. He did not want to die in the hands of a villain. The deputy general, with tears in eyes, knelt down in front of him. Then a sword pierced his heart. The plot of the traitor was achieved. Then they ordered his body to be thrown in a remote wilderness place, and no one was allowed to bury it. Over the years, the sword has remained there in its old and rusty form. That day his family came to worship him. Suddenly a butterfly landed on the precious sword. The sword began to shake violently. The sky thundered. The sound of the god reaches ears. The soul of the people who saved him, he will be immortal. But because he killed so many people on the battlefield, his punishment is he will have to witness people loved one dies, and at the same time will not be able to forget anyone's death. Only when the goblin bride pulls out the sword can he sleep peacefully, and at the same time he will disappear forever. More than 900 years later, the baby accidentally came to Earth, but outside the window there was a group of souls staring at her. They kept muttering that she was the elf bride. Time had passed in the blink of an eye. 18 years later, the baby has grown into a beautiful girl. Her parents died early and are now raised by her aunt, but life is not as expected. She endures the disdain of her entire aunt's family, but she still doesn't know that soon she will meet the big turning point in her life. The immortal man has been looking for her for more than 900 years. It was raining heavily outside. The girl bowed her head and looked at the 2 umbrella in house. At this moment the uncle's voice rang out. He said that if she took that umbrella, she would surely die. As soon as he finished speaking, the aunt threw a bowl of rice at her head. She endured the pain without saying anything, and her whole family of the aunt pretended not to see. It turned out that before mother died, had given her an insurance policy, but the money in it was gone. The aunt thought that the girl had withdrawn the money, so she she treated her like that. The little girl held back her tears and walked out the door in the heavy rain. Today is Eun-tak's birthday. She held a birthday cake and sat alone on the beach. She lit a candle and started praying, "Please let me get a job so I don't have to ask my aunt for money. Let me find a boyfriend." Goblin Kim Shin heard the girl's prayer. He didn't intend to care, but when Eun-tak blew out the candle, the bouquet of flowers was in his hand, started to emit white smoke again. Then he was summoned there. This was the first time in more than 900 years that he was summoned. What surprised him even more was that he had the ability to see people's futures, but this ability doesn't work on Eun-tak. He tells Eun-tak to go find a job selling chicken so she will be promoted, then disappears in front of Eun-tak. Seeing Kim Shin disappear, Eun-tak rushes shouted, "Where is my boyfriend?" The next day, Eun-tak went to the chicken store to look for a job but couldn't find it all day. She thought Kim Shin was cheating on her, but at this moment the pile of garbage in front of her caught fire. She quickly poured water and then blew out the fire. Kim Shin appeared again. Kim Shin thought she was causing trouble for no reason, so he disappeared again. In the church, Eun-tak lit a candle and then blew it out again. Kim Shin reappeared. Seeing that it was Eun-tak again, Kim Shin turned around to leave. Eun-tak suddenly thought of a new trick, blowing out the candles on the phone. Turning around had the same effect. Seeing Kim Shin wanted to leave again, Eun-tak wanted to pull him back. Kim Shin suddenly turned to look at her. This girl was not affected by his fire. Eun-tak asked if he was an elf. Kim Shin asked again what she was. Eun-tak said he could see ghosts since she was born. The ghost said she was a goblin bride. At the same time, she showed him the symbol on her neck. Kim Shin asked her to prove it and asked her what she saw on him. Eun-tak answered tall, about 30 years old. The only thing she didn't say was that she saw the sword stuck in his chest. Kim Shin didn't expect much and turned around to leave. He opened a door and blinked eyes come to Canada, but the next second, Eun-tak also followed him there. Surprising him again, Kim Shin asked her if she followed him through that door. Eun-tak suddenly reacted and asked what this place was. After determining that this place was Canada, she suddenly told Kim Shin that because he had such talented magic, she would marry him. Kim Shin was surprised by her confession. The woman in red gave Eun-tak a bag of spinach. She also deliberately emphasized that Eun-tak must eat with her relatives. As soon as Eun-tak returned home, her aunt immediately looked annoyed and asked her to cook rice. She boiled the spinach, then put it in the kimbap. At this time, the older sister came with her book. This was a souvenir from Eun-tak, brought back from Canada. The aunt thought Eun-tak wanted to run away with the insurance money, so she kept scolding Eun-tak. The gossiping sister went to the kitchen. She was about to cut a piece of kimbap to eat but accidentally cut her hand. The man also took one and put it in his mouth and unfortunately choked. The aunt just stopped torturing Eun-tak. Eun-tak still doesn't know that the girl in red is the old woman who saved her from the messenger of hell. Eun-tak sat alone outside, eating the kimbap she just made. The anger in her heart suddenly welled up. On the other side, Kim Shin was also lying on the bed, rolling around non-stop. The person who can summon him and can follow him through the door, but can't see the sword on his body, is Eun-tak, his bride after all. While he was thinking about it, the image of Eun-tak appeared in his mind. He happily kept shaking his legs, suddenly sat up and wanted to face her to ask her clearly. But when met Eun-tak, he said that she was too permissive. How could trust strangers so much? He clearly wanted to meet her but refused to admit it. He even forgot what he wanted to ask. After Kim Shin returned home, he discovered the messenger of hell in his house. It turns out that Deok-hwa agreed to the messenger of hell, rented a room. Deok-hwa has been with Kim Shin since childhood. His family has served goblins for many generations. Kim Shin told the messenger of hell to leave, but the other party took out the rental contract. Then the next second, the contract was burned out. The messenger of hell also said unforgivingly that this was just a subversion. Tomorrow, I would move in. The next day, they would have a meal together happily. The two used magic to annoy each other. Not long after, Eun-tak also successfully found a job. She happily lit a match and then blew out the flame. Then Kim Shin appeared. Luckily, he was summoned while eating. Kim Shin put a piece of steak in his mouth and quietly turned around to leave. In the house, the messenger of the hell came to the bed and was preparing to perform the sacred bedtime ritual. Suddenly, Kim Shin opened the door, asked him if this outfit was beautiful. After being bothered many times, the messenger of hell lost his sleep. The goblin felt that the other person's blanket was too white. The messenger said, "I like it like that." So early the next morning, when the messenger woke up, Kim Shin looked at him with satisfied eyes, but the messenger teased him with dirty briefs. Kim Shin patted his knees with both hands, then picked up a book and put it down and up. His legs kept shaking. He was waiting for Eun-tak to summon him. Eun-tak lit a match and blew out the fire, but as soon as turned around, she discovered that the person coming was not Kim Shin, but a messenger from hell. The messenger of the hell blocked Eun-tak's path. At this time, Kim Shin also appeared. Eun-tak quickly covered Kim Shin's eyes. She was afraid the messenger of hell would do something unfavorable to him, but she didn't know that with the strength of a goblin, he was completely unafraid of the messenger of hell. Kim Shin grabbed Eun-tak's hand and pulled her behind him. The messenger of hell advised Kim Shin not to get involved, but before he could finish speaking, the sky began to thunder and lightning because the goblin was angry. Eun-tak was afraid that the goblin would be at a disadvantage, so she wanted to pull him away. Go, but but the goblin not only did not go, but also left a threat that he would not let anyone take his goblin bride away. At this time, the messenger of hell learned that Eun-tak turned out to be the goblin bride that Kim Shin had been looking for so long. It seemed like he couldn't touch her anymore. The messenger immediately changed the topic of conversation and explained that he was only testing the hearts of the two of them. After the messenger left, Kim Shin told Eun-tak, said he was about to leave here. Don't summon him again in the future, because Eun-tak couldn't say the sword stuck in the goblin's chest. So Kim Shin came to the final conclusion that Eun-tak was not the bride of him. After an unhappy farewell, Eun-tak went to a group of ghosts. After asking around for a while, she learned that the person who saved her and her mother that year was the goblin Kim Shin. Kim Shin sat in a daze on the chair when a fog suddenly appeared. He thought Eun-tak was summoning him, so he happily moved his limbs and stood up, but discovered that it was Deokwa's smoke. Not long after, the creditor came to the aunt's house because she was protecting herself, so she talked about Eun-tak having savings. After Eun-tak finished school, the creditor forcibly dragged her into the car. Then they disappeared in front of the school gate. It was getting dark. The creditor rummaged through Eun-tak's backpack but couldn't find anything. At this time, the driver turned on the cigarette lighter. Eun-tak immediately approached and wanted to blow out the flame to summon the Goblin, but she was pulled back by the man. Eun-tak was extremely scared and said the savings were not with her. The man started to lose patience and was about to slap Eun-tak when the symbol on her neck lit up. Meanwhile, the goblin and the messenger of the hell were competing in the house. Suddenly, the dishes fell to the ground. Kim Shin's eyes stopped. The man who carried Eun-tak's shirt up gradually became impatient. Eun-tak tried her best, struggling and screaming for help. Suddenly, the car stopped and the streetlights went out. After a loud bang, the whole road was pitch black. Eun-tak slowly raised her head. In the distance, there were two figures quietly appearing. That figure gradually approached. It was the goblin and the messenger of hell. Eun-tak's eyes suddenly turned red. The goblin quickly approached the car. Lights suddenly exploded. The man, caught panicking, told the driver to step on the accelerator. A blue light flashed past, causing the car to split in half. The goblin picked up Eun-tak's scarf and opened the car door, helped her down. After putting the scarf back on for Eun-tak, he walked towards the other two men. This road would disappear for 2 days on the map. They would be in constant pain and discomfort, and 2 days later the police would find them. Then the messenger of the hell would delete their memories. The next day, Deokwa brought the documents of Eun-tak's aunt's entire family in front of Kim Shin. Touching the goblin bride would definitely pay the price. The woman opened the drawer and saw 2 gold bars suddenly appeared inside. The whole family was extremely happy and still did not know that this was actually a punishment. As soon as they got the gold bars, they started fighting each other. The 3 people stared at the gold bar on the table, even though their eyes kept closing due to sleepiness. No one wanted to go to sleep. The older brother suddenly woke up and discovered that the gold was nowhere to be seen. They quickly chased after the sister. At this time, the goblin was sitting at the restaurant looking at them. A good drama was about to start. Eun-tak was coming home from work to find that the aunt's entire family had checked out and left her alone with no say goodbye. Eun-tak sat on the side of the road, absent-mindedly looking at the withered buckwheat flower in her hand. At this time, she really had nowhere to go, but the next day, she was discovered by Mistress Sunny. Fortunately, Sunny was very kind and comfortable. Not only did she not blame her, but also gave Eun-tak some salary early. Eun-tak grilled squid while deep in thought. She was filled with images of Kim Shin saving her. When she regained consciousness, the squiz had already burned. She quickly blew it out. In the library, on Kim Shin's body suddenly emitted white smoke. His lips curled up and his face was filled with joy. Eun-tak turned her head and saw that the goblin had indeed been summoned by her. Eun-tak asked him what he wanted her to see. Kim Shin asked her if she saw anything on his chest. Eun-tak only said she saw, but didn't say clearly what it was. After successfully getting information from Kim Shin-tak turned and left. Kim Shin quickly chased after, invited her to eat. In the restaurant, Kim Shin grilled a piece of meat. Eun-tak ate it all. Kim Shin expected to ask if Eun-tak could see anything, but Eun-tak said he didn't like his questioning tone. Eun-tak ordered a large glass of water at the bar. Suddenly a familiar voice rang out. It turned out to be the messenger of hell, but this time he had no bad intentions and just wanted to drink with them. But Kim Shin again refused to pay the messenger of hell. They couldn't drink together, so the messenger of hell had to say a few words and then leave. Eun-tak said the messenger of hell was very handsome, making Kim Shin suddenly jealous. He carefully asked her how she felt about him. She said she only looked a little old. Kim Shin heard that and immediately took the glass of water and did not let her drink anymore. On the other side, the aunt's whole family went to a gold and silver store. The owner saw that the gold was not good and immediately made an excuse to leave, took the device and reported it to the police. Very quickly they were taken to the police station. This was not an ordinary gold bar. Normal people could not have it at all. The aunt began to be confused and said that this item belonged to her niece. The police asked her niece what her name was, but strangely, no matter how much the family thought about it, they couldn't come up with that name. The police thought they were making excuses, so the whole family was thrown in jail. Kim Shin said in the supermarket told the messenger of the hell that he was about to leave, and at the same time, he wanted the messenger of hell to swear that after I left you would not harm Eun-tak. Although normally every time they met they fought, when they heard the goblin speak, had to go. The messenger's eyes still showed reluctance. After finishing the final argument with the messenger of hell, Kim Shin was about to go to Eun-tak to say goodbye. At this time, Eun-tak was sitting on the shore. The sea was sad and missed her mother. The elf wanted to comfort her, but the words turned into sentences. Everything should follow naturally. Eun-tak prepared a gift for the elf. That was the red leaf brought back from Canada. After receiving the gift, Kim Shin suddenly reached out and patted Eun-tak's head. Although the action was a bit exaggerated for Eun-tak, this was the best gift. Kim Shin said he had to go. Eun-tak's eyes suddenly turned red. She tried to suppress her emotions. Rainwater kept falling onto the umbrella, just like Kim Shin's mood right now. Right after that, the goblin was about to leave then. Suddenly the doorbell rang. It was Eun-tak coming. She asked if she saw something on his body. Would he stay? The goblin said she couldn't see, but Eun-tak insists he can see it. She immediately pointed to the sword in front of his chest. At this moment, he couldn't believe his eyes. After Kim Shin knew that Eun-tak was his bride, he was happy for himself can be freed. He wants to live a little longer. At this moment, he still doesn't know that the reason he wants to live longer is because he already loves Eun-tak. On the walking bridge, a woman asked the messenger of hell if want to buy a hairpin or not. The messenger of hell said he was not interested. The girl picked up the mirror under the reflection of the sunlight. When he opened his eyes, the color had faded. There was only one ring still shining. He wanted to reach out to take it, but someone else was faster. But when he saw the other person's appearance, tears kept falling without knowing the reason. The woman said her name was Sunny, but he said another name, Kim Sun. Just as the two of them were getting to know each other, an old woman suddenly appeared in the mirror. At the same time, Kim Shin looked at the picture in his hand, thinking back to the story of more than 900 years ago. He could not protect his sister, Kim Sun. Suddenly tears filled the corners of his eyes. After the messenger of hell returned home and saw the phone number that Sunny left for him, then suddenly fell into deep contemplation. Who exactly was this woman? Why did he have this feeling? This time, the two of them had emotional problems at the same time. Over the next few days, the messenger of hell went to the bridge to wait every day, but could not meet Sunny. Deokwa asked the messenger of hell what Sunny looked like. The messenger of hell replied that when he walked on the street, he saw this person who looked like Sunny, looking at that person who looked like Sunny. In his eyes, everyone turned into Sunny. It was like fate arranged them to meet again on the bridge. Sunny asked him why he didn't call. The messenger of hell replied saying that he would call her from now on. They went to the cafe and the messenger bowed his head to drink coffee, his eyes nervously looking back and forth. Sunny reminded him that he had been sitting like that for an hour. Then she took the initiative to speak. Seeing the serious appearance of the messenger of hell, Sunny sighed and continued asking if you had forgotten my name. Sunny asked him what his name was. The messenger of the hell was suddenly surprised, as if he didn't have one name, so the two lonely men sat together. The messenger of hell said she asked my name. I'm already dead, so how should I answer? Kim Shin's eyes were sad. His mind was full of Eun-tak's smile. It turns out not long ago, Eun-tak summoned him again. He was carelessly drunk. Eun-tak asked what he had been doing for over 900 years. Kim Shin said he was always waiting for her. Eun-tak asked which bride she was. Kim Shin answered that the first bride was also the last bride. At this time, Eun-tak still did not know that once she pulled out the sword on his chest, Kim Shin would turn into dust. Eun-tak asked, what if she didn't want to be his bride? Jin Shin pondered for a while and said that if that was the case, this sword would not be able to be drawn. Only when the sword is drawn can he be happy. Eun-tak thought it was true, but didn't know that. When said these words, Kim Shin's heart contained so much pain and helplessness. Not long after Kim Shin took Eun-tak to Canada, he invited her to eat her favorite beef steak. The two people walking and chatting on the street. They play with the water next to the fountain. The sun is very beautiful. Kim Shin sits on the chair looking at the girl in the distance radiating light. The corner of his lips also curled up. The girl started running towards him. Red leaves fell on the book. Kim Shin suddenly discovered that his heart had been stolen. Eun-tak walking on the street suddenly heard a painful sound in her ears. A ghost blocked her way. The ghost quickly apologized. At the same time, she hoped Eun-tak would come to where she lived and buy things to put in the refrigerator for her. Although did not understand the other person's intentions, Eun-tak still agreed. She opened the refrigerator and it was empty. Eun-tak took the snacks from her backpack and put them in the refrigerator. Then she helped this girl fold the blanket and clean up books. The messy room immediately became tidy again. After arranging her daughter's funeral, her mother dragged her tired body to her daughter's residence. Turning on the light, she trembled and touched the pillow her daughter had once slept on, but her warmth was no longer there. Then she touched her daughter's books. When was alive she studying? Must have been very difficult. She opened the refrigerator and saw it was full of food. The mother tears finally fell. When she was alive, the mother was unable to take care of her much. Luckily, she takes good care of herself. On the other side, after Kim Shin discovered that he loved Eun-tak, he decided to protect her smile, so he was forced to stay away from her. Then he quickly pulled out his sword and helped Eun-tak return to her normal life. He found Eun-tak and said he wanted to take her home. Eun-tak asked if you love me. The goblin said he would if necessary. It was raining heavily outside and Eun-tak's eyes were red. Those words made her feel like a tool. When she arrived at house, Eun-tak wanted to help the messenger of hell take out the trash. The messenger of hell suddenly became confused and didn't understand why is she being nice to him. Kim Shin told him that from now on, Eun-tak will be here. The messenger of the hell bewilderedly remembered Kim Shin's previous decision to leave. He smirked and threw the garbage flew far away because she came to stay too suddenly. Kim Shin had to tell Eun-tak to temporarily stay in his room while he stayed with the messenger of the hell. The messenger of course did not agree, but the goblin deliberately came over, so the messenger of the hell had to reluctantly let him sleep over. Early the next morning, Eun-tak finished eating and was about to go wash the dishes, but turned around and saw the two of them fighting. After dragging them out, Eun-tak left her phone number for the two of them and then go to school. Looking at the numbers on the door, two people without phones suddenly felt a kind of sadness from the Stone Age. Feeling the ridicule, they immediately told Daeokwa to buy a phone and bring it. Seeing the messenger of the hell was very excited, Kim Shin seemed very knowledgeable, said that only the messengers of the hell had to learn how to use the phone. But then Kim Shin also didn't know how to use it. They quickly used it proficiently. Kim Shin made a video call to the messenger of hell. He took out the phone number left by Sunny. The messenger of hell was like an old man using rough fingers to dial the number on the screen. Spent a lot of effort. In the end, he co-saved the phone number. Eun-tak returned to house. Kim Shin pretended not to see her, not even saying hello. So Eun-tak went to the messenger of hell. At the same time she praised him as loudly as possible. Seeing them talking so enthusiastically, Kim Shin in the back could no longer sit still. He used his treasure of knowledge to attract attention. After a serious introduction, he found himself invisible. They continued to talk without paying attention to Kim Shin. Kim Shin finally got angry. He blamed Eun-tak for not caring about him. She angrily scolded him for being the heartless one. After saying these words, both of them were stunned on the spot. Realizing that the atmosphere was not right, Kim Shin began to panic. After that, the two teased each other and ran away. After closing the door, Eun-tak's heart was as happy as a flower. Kim Shin breathed heavily. The corners of his mouth continuously curled up, but they did not pay attention to the feelings of the messenger of hell. The messenger of hell took the phone number that Sunny left. In his heart was completely the image of her, but he didn't dare call and sat there until evening. At this time, Daeokwa and Kim Shin came, while the messenger of hell was not paying attention. Kim Shin helped him a little. When Sunny heard Kim Shin put the phone into the ear of the messenger of hell, which scared him too much to knock the phone away. For a moment the candle stopped burning. The messenger of hell took the phone back and started practicing. Kim Shin couldn't help but laugh. The phone rang again. He quickly hid in his room. It turned out it was Sunny calling. They arranged to meet again, but at the dinner table, Daeokwa has the upper hand, so the messenger of the hell messenger used magic to erase their memories and chased him away. After finishing dealing with them, the hell messenger gave Sunny a ring. They also talked happily. Early the next morning, Kim Shin seeing Eun-tak again, suddenly remembering what he said yesterday. To ease the awkwardness, Kim Shin took Eun-tak to a restaurant in Canada, but as soon as Kim Shin entered, he was very surprised. A waiter was walking towards him, but he saw Eun-tak at 29 years old from the waiter. Eun-tak was still radiant like that, but there was no Kim Shin next to her. He realized that his immortality had ended. After he left, Eun-tak's life remained the same. This made Kim Shin's determination even more steadfast. Because he wanted to protect her smile, he was forced to end his life. Kim Shin silently watched Eun-tak. A tear fell. After returning from the restaurant, Kim Shin told Eun-tak to immediately draw his sword, but she refused him. It turned out that Eun-tak had investigated Kim Shin's past, which strangely everything related to his past was not recorded, as if someone had deliberately deleted it. If the truth could not be clarified, Eun-tak decided not to draw his sword yet. Kim Shin recalled people who died because of him. His tears suddenly fell. He said he was a sinner. Eun-tak cried while wiping his tears. Even though she didn't know who he was, she still gently told him, "You are the one you love." Not long after Kim Shin came to pick up Eun-tak from school, Eun-tak asked him why he saved her mother that year. After learning that the mother asked the gods to save Eun-tak, she suddenly stopped walking. Kim Shin turned his head and discovered that Eun-tak's eyes were red. Kim Shin reached out to caress her head to comfort her, but Eun-tak said there was no need to use such force. Under the sunlight, everything became so beautiful. After returning home, Eun-tak suddenly said to Kim Shin, "I want you to become more handsome." Kim Shin was scared and quickly answered the phone and ran away. It turned out it wasn't because of he didn't want to pull out his sword. It was just Eun-tak in front of him, so he couldn't bear it. Finally today, Kim Shin made up his mind. He went to Eun-tak and told her to pull out his sword. Open the door, and Kim Shin took Eun-tak arrived at the buckwheat flower field. This is where he and Eun-tak began, and is also where it will end. Snow was falling all over the sky. At this time, Eun-tak still did not know that once pulls out the sword, Kim Shin will leave this world. Eun-tak slowly stretched out her hands. A sword appeared. Kim Shin closed his eyes tightly and was finally freed. But the next second, something unexpected happened. For some reason, Eun-tak couldn't hold the sword. She suddenly remembered the cursed prince in the fairy tale, so she boldly kissed him, but she still didn't pull away the sword out. A group of boys playing baseball suddenly made a whooshing sound, and the ball flew flew straight towards Eun-tak. Fortunately, a boy ran in time. This is the person she secretly loved when she was a child. After recognizing the other person, Tae-hee rubbed Eun-tak's forehead. This scene coincidentally was seen by Kim Shin. He got jealous and looked up. At the sky suddenly dark clouds came and lightning flashed. Kim Shin quickly found Tae-hee. Tae-hee recognized Kim Shin at a glance. It turned out that when he was young, Tae-hee always wanted to play baseball, but his mother forced him to learn the piano. Kim Shin bet with Tae-hee but lost, so he had to agree to help Tae-hee make the guitar disappear so he could become a baseball player. Eun-tak opened Kim Shin's diary and discovered that he had his first love, but what she was not knowing that the first love he wrote about in his diary was her. While she was jealous, Tae-hee suddenly called. Looking at the two people talking happily below, Kim Shin kept comforting himself. Then he found a quiet place to vent his anger. When opened the door, he discovered that Eun-tak still hadn't returned. Kim Shin couldn't sit still anymore and quickly called Eun-tak. Eun-tak said she was very busy, then hung up. Kim Shin came over ghosts that Eun-tak knew so he could find her. Looking at Eun-tak singing on stage, Kim Shin smiled happily. It turned out that because couldn't hold the sword last time, Eun-tak thought she wasn't the Goblin bride. She was afraid that Kim Shin would chase her away, so she wanted to make some more money and then move away. But she didn't know that regardless of whether she was a Goblin bride or not, Kim Shin had already fallen in love with her. While talking happily, suddenly Kim Shin's body was in severe pain. The sword appeared again. In confusion, Eun-tak raised her hand towards the sword. This time she finally grasped it. Eun-tak began to use her strength to press the sword and slowly moved in pain. Kim Shin pushed Eun-tak once, sending Eun-tak flying away. Then he used flying magic to catch her. Because was so scared, Eun-tak quickly fainted not long after she woke up. But the first thing she said was, "Are you okay?" Kim Shin looked at the girl in front of him without knowing that she really loved him, even though was injured. Eun-tak was extremely happy because this proved that she was the elf bride, but for Kim Shin that this was a difficult choice. That day, Kim Shin took Eun-tak to the university for an interview. After waiting for her to get on the bus, they waved goodbye. A few minutes later, an unfortunate man appeared, fell off his bike, and caused a serious accident. Eun-tak's bus also had an accident. On the bus, the man was worried because he didn't pass the interview, so he casually said, "I wish now encountered an accident." The next second, the bus had an accident. The bus was surrounded by dead air. Only the cries of children echoed. The Goblin predicted this accident. The cause would be Nenseal. It was all because of a thief. Eun-tak waved goodbye to him. The bus slowly departed. He didn't have much time left. He intended to stop the thief through the space door, but it was still slow. One step. He had no other choice but to run to the scene of the accident first. Buy all the socks from the old man and tell him to take the goods home. This will prevent the thief from falling in the middle of the road and causing a series of accidents. At this time, the thief was almost there. Seeing that Kim Shin raised his leg and made this guy fall onto the street, the thief took out a dagger to threaten, but Kim Shin broke his arm. At that time, the bus had just passing by. On the side of the road, a group of hell messengers were preparing to work, but the planned incident never happened. Just when they didn't understand what was going on, the messenger of the hell saw Eun-tak. He guessed that this was done by a goblin. The bus left, and a goblin figure suddenly appeared on the other side of the street. Not long after, Daokwa came to return the painting to Kim Shin. Out of curiosity, the messenger of hell opened the painting, but when he saw clearly the person in the painting, he didn't know why his heart ached every now and then. Tears couldn't help but flow out, just like the feeling when he first met Sunny. When returned, the painting Daokwa said, this matter was told to Kim Shin. Kim Shin was also very surprised. Why did the messenger see his sister's picture in such pain? He quickly went to the messenger to ask about it, but the messenger of the hell did not understand why. He just felt like he didn't have any memories related to her. After this, the messenger from hell made an appointment to meet Sunny. After many days of research, Sunny gradually became sympathetic to him. She told the messenger that my real name is Kim Sun. But at this time, the messenger of hell still did not know that more than 900 years ago, Kim Shin's sister was named Kim Sun. Sunny asks you, what is the messenger of hell's real name? He tried to remember, but couldn't remember. At the same time, Kim Shin's red eyes wrote the words Gong Yoo. The messenger's chest suddenly ached. Then he erased all Sunny's memories tonight. Not long after Kim Shin was locked in the library, the girl in red came to him. It turned out that the girl in red was a god. She told Kim Shin he had to quickly pull out his sword. If he didn't die, then Eun-tak will die, because the purpose of Eun-tak's birth is to pull out this sword. If she doesn't pull out the sword, there will be no more reason to exist. Before Eun-tak was kidnapped, the previous accident that was solved by Kim Shin was a warning. From now on, it will become more and more continuous and serious. At the same time, Eun-tak came to find the messenger of hell and asked about the strange sword on Kim Shin's chest. In the end, what would happen if I pulled out that sword? The messenger didn't want Kim Shin to die like that, so he told Eun-tak the truth. Once that sword was pulled out, Kim Shin will disappear. In the ski rink, a girl is working. Suddenly the snow falls from the roof. The skis fall on each other, causing the entire shelf to hit the girl. She falls to the ground, fell unconscious. At the same time, the messenger of hell gave Kim Shin a list of dead people with Eun-tak's name on it. An hour later, she would die of cold. Kim Shin searched everywhere. Eun-tak could go, but still couldn't find her. It turned out that after Eun-tak knew that that after pulling out the sword, Kim Shin would die. She was heartbroken and packed her things to leave the house. Kim Shin knew that she had come to work at the rink Snow. Many times he came here wanting to take her home, but Eun-tak did not agree. Kim Shin worriedly walked on the ski slope, remembering the words that the god had said. It would only appear more frequently and more seriously than before. He knew that this accident was still not unexpected. The surrounding temperature was still dropping. Eun-tak lay on the ground constantly trembling. While dreaming, she remembered the time she spent with Kim Shin. They met on the beach, met each other in Canada, draw sword in the buckwheat garden, and the words Kim Shin said to her last night. While dying, she called Kim Shin's name, as if showing the way. Kim Shin felt Eun-tak. A blue flame lifted the iron door. Kim Shin put his coat on Eun-tak and hugged her tightly, holding her in his arms, then immediately went to the hospital. Not long after Eun-tak woke up, the doctor asked her if she needed anything. She told the doctor that she needed a match or a lighter. On the cable car, Eun-tak blew out the match, but Kim Shin did not appear. She looked around, but there was no one. She thought that Kim Shin would not come anymore. Her eyes were still filled with tears, but suddenly, she burst into laughter. It turned out, she saw a familiar figure at the stop. The cable car finally stopped. Eun-tak blamed Kim Shin. I thought you were gone. I thought you wouldn't come again. Kim Shin said that I have been waiting for you here for a long time. Walking on the snow-covered ground, a wind blew. Kim Shin from behind wrapped his arms around Eun-tak. The weather was very cold, but the sunlight was very warm. This time, even though it's God also, he wanted to try his best to fight for once. That day, Kim Shin took Eun-tak to work part-time. He followed to Sunny's store, but the two people did not get along, and soon they started arguing. When they stopped arguing, the messenger of hell suddenly said that Kim Sun bothered me with 2 beers. Sunny was surprised when he knew her name was Kim Sun. Kim Shin was also very surprised because in his previous life, his sister was also named Kim Sun. Sunny called the messenger of hell out and asked why you knew my name. At this moment, the messenger of hell realized that after she said her name that day, he continued to erase her memory. So now in Sunny's memory, she still thinks that no one knows her name. The messenger of hell was about to find an excuse to leave, but Sunny pulled his hand back. At this moment, he saw Sunny's past life. Her appearance in previous life was exactly like the picture of Kim Shin's sister. Moreover, they wore the same ring together. After returning home, the messenger of hell thought for a while and still didn't understand why the first time he met Sunny, he couldn't hold back his tears and saw a drawing of Kim Shin's sister as well as Kim Shin. If Sunny is the reincarnation of Kim Shin's sister, then who was he in previous life? To clarify the truth, the messenger from hell made an appointment to meet Sunny and reclaim the ring. On the last 30th of the year, they met again. The hell messenger asked to hold her hand again. He wanted to look back at her past life, but Sunny asked about his identity. Seeing that the hell messenger still refused to talk, Sunny finally lost all patience. She decided to break up and didn't want to see him anymore. Not long after the messenger from hell and Kim Shin talked about Sunny, after a moment of hesitation, the messenger from hell said he saw Sunny's past life. Sunny's previous life appearance was the same as Kim Shin's sister in the painting. Hearing that Kim Shin started to get serious, the messenger of hell said the girl he saw wearing a white outfit looked noble and dignified, but she was hit by an arrow and fell down. Kim Shin asked the messenger of hell what else he saw. The messenger of hell said she was sitting in a palanquin and looked out the door to talk, and someone's voice answered her. Kim Shin, sitting still without moving. The sister he had been looking for more than 900 years turned out to be right next to him. He came to Sunny's shop again. His eyes were red as he walked towards her, hugged her, and kept calling his sister's name. Sunny, she didn't understand what was going on. She thought he was crazy. The messenger from hell told her that in past life, Kim Shin was her brother. But now Sunny is just a normal person. She has no memories of previous life and didn't believe in reincarnation. As a result, he failed to recognize relatives and was kicked out. The next day, Kim Shin brought all the things his sister liked in her previous life to show her, but all of those things are not what Sunny likes. Kim Shin shows Sunny a portrait of Kim Sun and tells her the story of his sister more than 900 years ago. Kim Shin was on the battlefield fighting, never losing. After achieving victories, his position in the hearts of the people became higher and higher, even higher than the king. The first king died early, so the new king was raised by the traitor Jung Haeon from a young age. Jung Haeon's ambition was very big. He intended to control the king's control over the court, and Kim Shin's power was the biggest rock in his way. He began to make the king hate and envy Kim Shin, eventually letting the king go. Ordered to kill Kim Shin, the king went to find Queen Kim Sun so she could make a decision. The king said Kim Sun wanted to be his queen or wanted to die with her brother. Even though Kim Sun was the queen, she loved her brother, Kim Shin, so much. In the end, she chose to die with her brother. After hearing this, Sunny only felt a slight pain in her chest. When returned to the restaurant, her face turned pale. She told Eun-tak that when she heard Kim Shin's sister's story, her chest suddenly ached. Not long after the messenger from hell came to return the ring, suddenly a voice spoke, startling him. Dropped the ring on the ground. Just as he was about to pick it up, he saw Sunny coming. He immediately put on his hat and hid to the side. Sunny picked up the phone and turned around. The messenger of hell had just relaxed when he saw Sunny turning back. She walked in front of the messenger and stopped. She was guessing someone's height, then knocked off the hell messenger's hat, and from here Here she learned his true identity. The messenger of hell received a list of people who were about to be died. 2 weeks later, Eun-tak would fall to death. He immediately told Kim Shin. Kim Shin remembered what God said before. He could stop A once, but later there will be a second or third time. Can he really protect Eun-tak for the rest of his life? After thinking for a long time, he finally told Eun-tak the truth. Eun-tak's eyes turned red. It turned out everything was none of the previous events were accidental accidents. She blamed the cruelty of the gods. She also said she would try to continue living and stay by Kim Shin's side. That day, a ghost girl came looking for Eun-tak. Her husband pushed her down from upstairs and fell to her death. Eun-tak decided to help her convey the message to that cruel husband. Eun-tak found that man. The two went to the rooftop to talk, but during the conversation, she accidentally revealed the process of killing his wife. His face immediately changed. At the same time, the time of Eun-tak's death on the list changed to today. The man looked around and discovered that there was no one. He began to approach Eun-tak. At the moment of danger, she turns on the lighter and blows out the flames. The man's body jerked up and rolled down the stairs. Kim Shin arrived in time. Very quickly, this man was taken to the police station, but a bigger danger was coming. That day, Eun-tak was mopping the floor, but when she turned around, she stood rooted to the spot. A devil dressed in ancient clothes came. This person was none other than the villain Jung Haeon, who killed Kim Shin of more than 900 years ago. Although she had heard Kim Shin mention Jung Haeon before, she did not know that he was the person standing in front of her, so she did not pay any attention to this matter. Not long after, during a visit by Kim Shin talked with Eun-tak, he discovered that Deok-hwa knew a lot of secrets about demons and messengers that he had never told anyone about these secrets. Very quickly, they found Deok-hwa at the bar, but Deok-hwa still polished his appearance as usual. With a calm appearance in the face of all the turmoil, he simply put down his glass and Kim Shin was stopped outside. He told Kim Shin it was time to say goodbye to Eun-tak, then transformed into a butterfly and flew away. Deok-hwa also immediately fell down. Kim Shin knew that the person from before was a god. On the other side, Jung Haeon came to find Eun-tak. He told her his name. He also said that the messenger of hell was Wang Yo's reincarnation, the same ancient Goryeo king who killed Kim Shin. Eun-tak was extremely surprised. The messenger of hell sometimes seemed very cute, but she didn't expect that he is a cold-blooded and heartless king. The next day, the messenger of hell, out of boredom, went to Eun-tak. From the memories of Kim Shin and Kim Sun, he could guess that if he was not Jung Haeon, it was Wang Yo. But even if he was, no matter who he is, Kim Shin's enemy, and it is very difficult for him to be with Sunny. Eun-tak sat silently listening for a while. She seemed to be thinking about something. The messenger of hell made an appointment to meet Sunny again. He prepared to violate the rules of the messenger of hell, which was to use a kiss to awaken Sunny's past life memories, and he used that method to confirm his identity. The messenger of hell kissed her. For a moment, Kim Sun's smile, her brother's concern, and the king's anger, all the memories rushed back like a wave, and the king's face was the messenger of hell now. Tears filled with the corners of her eyes. Sunny's mind was empty. The messenger of hell asked her if he was in her memories of her past life. The eyes of the messenger of hell were filled with tears. It turned out he was really the king. He told Sunny, looking into his eyes. Sunny slowly raised her head. The messenger of hell erased her painful memories and kept the most beautiful things. He silently told her to forget him. Tears fell on the messenger. Hell touched Sunny's face, then silently left. Sunny grabbed her chest tightly and finally burst into tears. The next day, Kim Shin went to see Sunny. Sunny suddenly told him that she remembered everything, and at that time she also apologized to her brother for only now recognizing him. Kim Shin hugged Sunny tightly. Finally his sister had returned. Kim Shin told Eun-tak about the good news. Eun-tak asked why Sunny remembered. At this moment, Kim Shin remembered that he forgot to ask. Eun-tak stopped smiling. She told Kim Shin that she once met Jung Hyun's soul. The devil came close and suddenly had an arm squeezing tightly around this guy's neck. The devil came to find him. Kim Shin swung his sword down but couldn't hurt this guy. Jung Hyun told Kim Shin that the messenger from hell was Wang Yo. Kim Shin stood still. He remembered the scene where the messenger of the hell shed tears when saw Kim Sun's drawing and saw Sunny's past life. In Kim Shin's heart got the answer. Very quickly, he went to meet the messenger of hell and walked step by step up the stairs. Just like 1,000 years ago, he walked in front of the king who destroyed everything. His steps were both heavy and determined. He squeezed the hell messenger's neck and then said, "Senior General Kim Shin, desisted Majesty." This was a meeting more than 900 years apart. The messenger of hell shed tears, even though he knew that he was Wang Yo, the king of heinous crimes, but he still asked again, "Is it me? Am I really Wang Yo, right?" Kim Shin's eyes were filled with anger, but in the end, he still let go, because he was still a loyal servant like previously. Kim Shin, after learning the true identity of the messenger of hell, Kim Shin and Eun-tak moved to Deok-hwa's house. It seemed unintentional, but in fact, this was out of concern for the messenger of hell, because the hell messenger has nowhere to go except Kim Kim Shin, Sunny's past life as Kim's son is also a thorn in Jonghyun's side. She has repeatedly opposed his proposal in front of the king, so very quickly he aimed at Sunny. Luckily the messenger of hell appeared in time to stop him, but the messenger of hell could not hurt Jonghyun. The messenger of the hell told Eun-tak that he had erased all Sunny's memories are related to him, and he asks her to return the ring to Sunny. Eun-tak comes to see Sunny. Sunny tells her about the messenger of hell. It turns out Sunny's memories weren't erased. The sound of wind chimes sounded the god of hell to meet the messenger. The messenger of hell revealed the list of dead people so that Sunny could remember his past life, abusing the authority of the messenger of hell. So above decided to punish him, and the punishment is for him to remember all the memories of his previous life. For a moment, the messenger of hell's head hurt like a hammer. Memories of his previous life rushed back. It turned out that after Wang Yo had grown up, he discovered Jonghyun's intentions. He was heartbroken by the death of Kim Shin and Kim's son. He painted Kim's son's portrait, looked at the clothes she still wore when she was alive. Every day he cried and suffered. In the end, he drank poisoned wine brought by Jonghyun. After the memories returned about the messenger of hell clutching his chest and crying bitterly, but he couldn't save everything anymore. That day Eun-tak was talking to Sunny when suddenly a familiar figure appeared. It was Jonghyun. He rushed towards Sunny, but Eun-tak immediately turned around to protect Sunny. The tattoo on Eun-tak's neck suddenly glowed, and Jonghyun was pushed back. Eun-tak also fainted. After Eun-tak woke up, she called Kim Shin. She ran into Kim Shin's arms. He discovered that the tattoo on her neck seemed to have disappeared. Eun-tak told Kim Shin what had just happened. The messenger of hell received a list of people who are about to die and includes the name Eun-tak. The time of death is a week later. Even though his relationship with Kim Shin has reached this point, when received the list of messengers from hell, he still quickly informed Kim Shin. The messenger of hell asked Kim Shin when he clearly knew that moving forward would lead to death. Why did he still step forward? Kim Shin replied, I just want to receive the instruction to behead Park Jong-hyun. It turns out that the purpose of the first emperor giving Kim Shin the sword was to kill Jong-hyun. Kim Shin turned around to leave. He suddenly touched his chest, as if remembering something. He realized that only the sword on his chest could kill Jong-hyun. Not long after the messenger of hell discovered that Sunny still remembered him, it turned out that the messenger of hell made Sunny only remember the happy things and forget about him. But for Sunny, the time spent with him is the happiest time. It conflicts with forgetting him, so the hypnotic hell messenger failed. Sunny returns the ring to the messenger of hell. She also officially said goodbye to him. On the other hand, Kim Shin suddenly came to Eun-tak and said he wanted to travel with her. They also spent a good time together. Kim Shin gave Eun-tak the previous promises. This was the first part of the contract. When Eun-tak drew his sword, the first snowy day of the season, Kim Shin was forced to answer Eun-tak, which Eun-tak still didn't know that this was Kim Shin's last goodbye. He took Eun-tak to the rooftop. Next, he would lure Jonghyun to appear. Eun-tak opened the book and suddenly a gust of wind blew. An evil demon appeared in front of her. Because the tattoo on his neck had disappeared, Eun-tak could not see the ghost at this time. Jonghyun gradually approached her. He squeezed Eun-tak's neck tightly. Eun-tak did not resist at all. At the crucial moment, she blew out the lighter and a beam of blue light rushed in. Jonghyun took a few steps back. It was Kim Shin arrived in time. Suddenly Eun-tak stabbed himself with the sword. Luckily Kim Shin promptly took the sword back. It turned out that Eun-tak discovered Jonghyun's plan. He wanted to enter her and use her hand to pull out the sword on Kim Shin's chest, so he would kill Kim Shin. Eun-tak wanted to stop him, but it was too late. He had already entered her body. Eun-tak walked in front of Kim Shin and slowly raised her hand. Just as she was about to use her strength, a familiar voice rang out. It turned out that the messenger of hell had arrived. He used his magic to push Jonghyun away from Eun-tak's body. Eun-tak fainted, but Kim Shin still didn't want to end it. He tightly held Eun-tak's hand and slowly pulled out the sword stuck in his chest. The sword pulled out of his body. He immediately held it. The sword turned around and rushed to cut Jonghyun. At this moment, Jonghyun also disappeared into smoke. Everything was back to normal. Kim Shin also prepared to accept death. The messenger of hell choked with tears. Kim Shin looked back towards the messenger of hell and said, I finally died on the battlefield. The sword disappeared. Eun-tak ran to hug Kim Shin tightly. She felt like the whole world was collapsing. Eun-tak cried without a sound. Kim Shin caressed her face and told her that meeting you was the reward of my life. Eun-tak cried and said she loved him very much. Kim Shin smiled with tears in his eyes and said, I loved you too. Then he closed his eyes. His body turned into small stars that gradually disappeared. A bolt of lightning tore through the sky. Everyone who remembered Kim Shin stood still in bewilderment. All memories related to Kim Shin was quickly erased, including Eun-tak's diary. Eun-tak suddenly realized something. She immediately took the diary and hastily wrote Kim Shin's name in it before her memories were erased. Eun-tak hugged the diary diary and sobbed. This city is so big, and yet Kim Shin no longer exists. A butterfly slowly flew up. Kim Shin's punishment ends here. He will always wander around in nothingness until he loses all his memories. In the blink of an eye, 9 years passed. Eun-tak also successfully became a screenwriter. It was raining heavily that day. Eun-tak was lying on the bed. The pain in her heart suddenly rushed back. She didn't know why. Every time it rained, she was very sad and then burst into tears. When she saw the burned part in the diary, she also didn't know. Why did she feel so heartbroken? She touched the pendant she was wearing around her neck, but no matter how hard she tried, she still couldn't remember when this necklace was worn around her neck. In this world of nothingness, Kim Shin kept walking, forever not knowing where he was going, falling down over and over again and getting up over and over again, but his hand was always clutching a piece of paper. That was the promise between him and Eun-tak. On the day of the early snowfall of the season, Kim Shin is forced to answer Eun-tak. Suddenly a gust of wind blew the paper away. Kim Shin stood up and risked his life to chase. At the same time, in the human world, the first snow of the season had arrived. Eun-tak, holding the cake while sitting absent-mindedly, she was thinking about what she had forgotten to leave such extreme pain in her heart. Suddenly the corners of her eyes were wet. Today was her birthday. She lit a match, went up to light the candles. No one wished her a happy birthday. She remembered that the last time her birthday was celebrated, it was her mother's ghost, not a human. The person she missed for the past 9 years that made her feel pain every day burst into tears. But no matter how hard she tried, she still couldn't remember. Eun-tak's eyes gradually turned red. Her heart was lonely, asking for help. And Kim Shin, in the empty world, seemed to have heard her request. Eun-tak was carrying the cake when a figure appeared in front of her. She slowly turned her head. It was none other than Kim Shin had returned. This was a meeting after 9 years of separation. Eun-tak looked closely at the person standing in front of her, but she turned her head away. That's right, she had forgotten Kim Shin. Tears welled up in Kim Shin's eyes. Remembering Eun-tak's pain and despair when they were apart, Kim Shin couldn't hold back. He walked forward and hugged Eun-tak. Who knows how many days Kim Shin had been waiting for this moment. Eun-tak stood still in place. She didn't know why. In her heart suddenly felt pain. Tears kept flowing. She suddenly realized she didn't know this man, so she apologized to him, then left here. Kim Shin went to see Dae-kwa, but Dae-kwa had also forgotten him. He came to visit Sunny. Sunny saw him, but in the blink of an eye he disappeared. He came to visit the messenger of hell. The two of them looked at each other with 4 eyes. The messenger of hell said that you are the goblin that everyone often rumors. It seems like the messenger also forgot who he was. But when he was about to leave, the messenger of the hell raised the voice. It seems you didn't disappear. It turned out after Kim Shin disappeared from the world, the two gods were a bit soft-hearted. They felt that Kim Shin and Eun-tak's story was too sad. Someone should have remembered their love. It is not wrong that after God closes their door and opens a new door for them. The messenger of hell saw Kim Shin standing in front of him and said, "You can return it so good." The messenger of hell finally received forgiveness from Kim Shin. They returned to live together again. The next day while working, Eun-tak made a mistake. It was clearly winter, but her manuscript wrote that the temperature dropped to 22 degrees. The leader criticized. She immediately apologized, but before she could finish speaking, a staff member came to announce that the outdoor temperature was now 22 degrees. Eun-tak went out to take a look. The warm sunlight was filled with peach blossoms blooming everywhere. Under the tree, Kim Shin was standing looking at her. It was true that Kim Shin was helping Eun-tak. In the cafe, Eun-tak blew out the candles, making Kim Shin was called. The corners of Eun-tak's eyes were wet again. She asked why Kim Shin was sitting across from her. Kim Shin said someone called him, but Eun-tak still didn't know that the person calling Kim Shin was her. Eun-tak asked if he was at my company's door. Kim Shin said that because I missed a person, so I went to see that person. Kim Shin went to see Dae-kwa again and clearly explained his identity to Dae-kwa. Although Dae-kwa had forgotten who Kim Shin was, the will of his entire family could not be forgotten. And once again, Kim Shin became the highest person in charge of the company. Another side, Eun-tak quarreled with customers, so the superior scolded her. In the library, Kim Shin and Eun-tak met again. They walked on the street together. Eun-tak asked him what he did for a living. Kim Shin pointed toward a high-rise building in the distance, said that he was the highest person in charge there. Of course, Eun-tak did not believe it. In order to prove himself, Kim Shin got the documents from her. Very quickly, Eun-tak successfully signed a favorable contract sponsored by the company. Eun-tak asked Kim Shin's name. The secretary said his name was Ju Shin Jae. Eun-tak did not know that this was Kim Shin's nickname. Not long after, Eun-tak received a letter from Canada. This is the letter before she lost her memories. She and Kim Shin wrote this letter to her mother. In the letter she mentioned a man, and it seemed that this person was very close to her. Eun-tak realized maybe it had something to do with her lost memories. After applying for leave, Eun-tak boarded a plane to fly directly to Canada. She went to Kim Shin's hotel. The receptionist told her this letter should have been sent 10 years ago, but it was recently discovered because it was stuck in the mailbox. Eun-tak was walking on the street when suddenly a woman called her over. Eun-tak asked if you knew me. The woman said, "I didn't know you, but the necklace on your neck was made by me." This woman also said that a man asked me to design it 10 years ago. Eun-tak was very surprised to hear that. It seems like she really had been here before. At the same time, Kim Shin was preparing to look for Eun-tak, but as soon as he opened the door, he saw Eun-tak standing in front of the door. Eun-tak thought that Kim Shin was following her. After explaining for a while, he reluctantly persuaded Eun-tak. Seeing Eun-tak preparing to go to the grave ahead, Kim Shin quickly stopped her. They walked together on a small road. Kim Shin told her about his first love. Eun-tak asked Kim Shin if he loved this girl very much. Kim Shin said, "I wanted to hold her hand and hug her." Eun-tak was a little jealous, but she didn't know that the first love in Kim Shin's story was her. Back at the hotel, Eun-tak remembered what that woman said and the person named Kim Shin in the diary. Were they the same person? She think but couldn't figure it out. She looked out the door and saw Kim Shin sitting downstairs. Is he that man? Eun-tak went downstairs and asked Kim Shin directly, "Have we met before?" Kim Shin was bewildered, then stood up and said, "Do you like me?" Eun-tak did not deny it. Kim Shin laughed happily. He took Eun-tak to a beef restaurant. This was the restaurant Eun-tak liked 10 years ago. After talking on the phone with Sunny, Eun-tak turned around and called Kim Shin to sit and eat with her. The scene was extremely familiar. It turns out that 10 years ago he saw the future. The man eating with Eun-tak was him. His face showed joy. Eun-tak asked if he had come here with his first love. Kim Shin nodded, seeing that Eun-tak was jealous. Kim Shin asked her if they would see each other tomorrow. Eun-tak said she was returning home tomorrow. Kim Shin replied that he would see her back home. Eun-tak held the menu and covered her face in her arms, feeling very happy. Went to the hotel, and Eun-tak sat down to read a magazine. She suddenly saw a picture of that grave. She remembered the last time it seemed like Kim Shin wanted to stop her and not let her go near it. Eun-tak quickly arriving at the grave, she discovered that the photo on the tombstone was Kim Shin. At this moment, Kim Shin came. She asked if he was a ghost now, so he could follow her anywhere. She was angry, questioned him about whether he and she had been here 10 years ago. Kim Shin said no, then left. The wind blew the leaves down. Eun-tak reached out to catch a leaf. She silently looked at the maple leaf in her hand. Suddenly memories came rushing back like a wave. Her beautiful memories with Kim Shin appeared right before her eyes. Eun-tak couldn't hold back anymore. She cried and tried her best to run. When returned home, her mind was full of Kim Shin's image. She was like a little girl, lost from her parents, trying to run in vain. Finally, when passing by a store, she blew out the candle in front of the door and cried, calling Kim Shin's name. Kim Shin pulled Eun-tak close, then gently kissed her on the lips. Eun-tak stopped crying. On the road, there was no one, only 2 burning hearts. On the other side, Sunny was checking the camera image, and the person in the camera was the messenger of hell. She remembered when she passed by this man before. He once watched her shed tears. That day, the messenger of the hell was sitting in the cafe, and suddenly Sunny walked in. The messenger of the hell looked at her, approaching the corner of his eyes, also gradually became wet. Sunny sat down on the chair opposite him. She asked him how you knew me, but the messenger of hell said this was the first time they met. Sunny asked him why he cried the last time they passed each other. The messenger of hell said he saw her very much like his friend. Sunny asked for his name, but now he didn't have to avoid it anymore. He said he was Gong Yoo. After talking for a while, Sunny stood up to leave, but as soon as she left the cafe, she was in tears. It turned out that she was the same as the messenger of the hell. Neither of them had their memories erased. On the night Kim Shin disappeared, she saw a boy sitting in the rain, so she took him back to the shop, but she didn't know that at this time the boy was possessed. Originally, God intended to erase Sunny's memories, but Sunny scolded they for being unfair. She said her life knew how to arrange it herself without needing they to intervene, so she was able to keep all her memories. When at the restaurant, she was her brother, but when she turned around, he was gone, and tears fell from her eyes. Even when she passed by the messenger of hell, when she saw him shedding tears, she appeared to be wondering why, but as soon as turned away, she was like the messenger who couldn't hold back her tears. Not long after Eun-tak returning home, they walked on the road together. Kim Shin suddenly looked seriously at Eun-tak. He said he really wanted to marry her. Peach blossoms fell from the sky. Eun-tak stood still in place. She happily shed tears and nodded. I agreed. After the messenger of the hell returned home, he also learned that Eun-tak had regained her memories. He looked at Eun-tak and smiled. He was happy for the two of them, but as soon as he got back to his room, he immediately became worried, because at the age of 29, the god of death will come to find Eun-tak. Even if it's not him, another messenger will come to take her soul. The messenger of hell will receive a list of dead people. On it is a group of children, only 7 years old to 8 years old. At this moment, Eun-tak passed by, waving to the messenger of hell. Then she drove away, but as soon as she left, the list in the messenger's hand disappeared. The fate of those children has changed. The messenger of hell was startled. He suddenly remembered Eun-tak, who had just passed by. His tears drenched his hand, holding the list tightly. He knew Eun-tak's destiny had come. Buy it at Kim Shin's house, ready the flowers and prepared the wine. He was preparing a surprise for his bride. He told Eun-tak to drive carefully, but soon a truck started drifting downhill, its speed increasing fast, and in front of her was a group of children. If she didn't stop that car, the children would be in danger. There was no time to think much. Eun-tak immediately drove in front of the truck. She also felt scared, but she wanted to save the children. Eun-tak used her last bit of strength to try to remember Kim Shin's face and say her last words. From then on, Eun-tak fell into an eternal sleep. The messenger of the hell standing on high, witness Eun-tak's sacrifice. This was the first time he cried for a dead person. Eun-tak stood silently on the the side of the road, looking at the safe and healthy children, and smiled. Before leaving, Eun-tak asked the messenger, "How many lives have I gone through?" The messenger said it was her first life. Eun-tak smiled happily. The door opened. Kim Shin had arrived. He slowly walked to Eun-tak. They looked at each other with sad eyes. Kim Shin was extremely heartbroken and could not bear to leave her. Kim Shin hugged Eun-tak tightly. Her tears kept falling. The extremely strong goblin Kim Shin was now crying like a child. Eun-tak told him to try to wait until her next life. Surely then they would live happily. The messenger from hell brought tea to help her erase the memories of this life. Eun-tak shook her head and said she would not drink it. The messenger of hell nodded tearfully. Eun-tak caressed Kim Shin's face and told him, "I will come soon," pulled open the cold iron door. Eun-tak turned around and said the last goodbye. The door closed. Kim Shin couldn't hold it in anymore. He sat down on the ground and sobbed. He wrote Eun-tak's name on the paper, then went to the place where they first met. He burned the paper with ashes blown by the wind. Blow it away. This is the blessing and nostalgia Kim Shin sent to Eun-tak. From then on, it rained heavily for a long time. In the blink of an eye, 30 years have passed. The messenger received the final list. Welcomed with this last soul. His punishment was over. But when he opened the envelope, he suddenly burst into tears. That it was Sunny's name. The sound of the door opening rang out. Sunny entered the room. This was the next meeting after 30 years of separation. The messenger of hell put the ring on her finger. Before leaving, Sunny saw her brother standing outside the window. She happily laughed. The moment of separation had come. The messenger of hell held Sunny's hand in Kim Shin's affectionate eyes. They walked towards that door. Kim Shin walked alone in the buckwheat flower field. This time he was still left alone in the human world like the previous times. Don't know how long Kim Shin was walking on the road. Suddenly he stopped. He saw the next life of his sister and the messenger of hell. Seeing them peaceful and happy, he smiled. That day in the warm sunlight, Kim Shin was sitting alone by the grave reading a book. Suddenly a familiar voice rang out. Is Eun-tak's next life? The two of them are together again. The weather is beautiful. Hopefully we can also find warmth in this world. This is the end of the movie. Thank you for watching. If you find it interesting, please leave a comment and click follow to see the next video as quickly as possible. Goodbye and see you in the next video.